Okay, now I'm going to talk about empirical formula and how to calculate empirical formula. Okay, empirical formula is the least ratio of any atoms in any molecule in any compound. That will be the empirical formula. Let me give you an example of that. Molecular formula versus empirical formula. For instance, we had the hydrogen peroxide. The hydrogen peroxide will have two hydrogen, two oxygen, right? And the empirical formula will be the ratio between hydrogen and oxygen in hydrogen peroxide. That will be one hydrogen per one oxygen. That will be your empirical formula, the relationship of atoms in a compound. Let me give you another example. Benzene, which is an organic compound, will have the following formula, and the empirical formula will be CH, one carbon per one hydrogen, because the ratio is 1 to 1. Let me make another one. This is another organic compound, C2H4. So the empirical formula will be one carbon per two hydrogen, and that will be your empirical formula. Of course, there will be many other compounds that the empirical formula will be the same as the molecular formula, and the one of the well-known example is water. The ratio is 2 to 1, or maybe sodium chloride. Sodium chloride will be sodium chloride. So no all the empirical formula will be slightly different than molecular formula. So now let me find an example of how to find the empirical formula of any compound. Okay, we have on the screen one example of problem that will ask you how to find the empirical formula of a compound. And they gave you the composition of carbon for that compound, which is this one, and the composition of sulfur. First step, I will convert based on 100% gram of the substance. If I have 100 gram of the substance, I will convert the percent to grams. So I can do the following. I will have 15.8 gram of carbon, and I will have 84.2 gram of sulfur. And now I'm writing the element symbol, and that will be assuming I have 100 gram of the substance. That will be my first step. The second one will be finding how many mole do I have for each one. Number of mole of carbon will be equal 15.8 gram. Okay, let me refresh the no. Okay, remember this formula because maybe I'm assuming you remember that formula, but maybe no. So let me refresh the formula. Number of mole of X substance, a substance that I don't know, will be the mass of the substance over the atomic mass when there is an atom, or molar mass when you have a compound. So what I'm doing here is writing the mass, and I will divide over the atomic mass of carbon, which is 1201 based on my periodic table that I have here, and that will be gram mole. And for the sulfur, I will do the same. Sulfur will be the mass of sulfur using the formula that I wrote on top, which is 84.2 gram given 100 gram of the substance over the molar atomic mass of sulfur. If I had that one, I can use, on my periodic table will be 32 gram mole. Next thing will be, of course, dividing. Let's do the division for the first one. That will be 15.8 divide 12.01, and I go 1.31 mole. So that will be 1.31 mole. because grand and grand cancel out. And I will do now the second division, and that will be between 84.2 divided by 32 grand. And I go to 0.61, 63, 63. And that will be also more. Next thing will be writing the formula. So I had carbon and sulfur, and that will be the following. Carbon has 1.31 mole of atom, and sulfur will have 2.63. But we never write any formula using decimal number, right? We need to make a round number. One way to do that is dividing by the smaller number. The smaller number will be 1.31. So I'm going to divide the two of them by a smaller number. By dividing by the small number, the first one will become one carbon because these two cancel out, and I will do the division for the second one. So that will be 2.63 divided 1.31, and I go 2. And that will be my empirical formula of that compound. And if you want to know the name for this compound, because we also need to keep practicing nomenclature, that will be carbon disulfide, ending in ID. Di because we have two uh, atoms of sulfur. And that's it. That's the answer. And this is a real compound, so that will be the answer for that. Again, thank you for watching. Hopefully this video will help you to understand how to find the empirical formula of any compound.